Welcome to episode 55 of the Left Behind Game Club. This week we play Ori and the Blind Forest. Stick around to the end of the show. We're adding a new segment, the Left Behind Quiz Corner. You won't want to miss it. The Left Behind Game Club was nominated for 3 Canadian Podcast Awards: Outstanding Games and Hobbies Podcast, Outstanding Art for a Podcast, and People's Choice. If you are Canadian and would like to vote, check out those details at leftbehindgame.club. Now, we added the Left Behind Quiz Corner, but that doesn't mean that our guests are good at quizzes.
What is it called when you set down a spiritual fire to save the game and heal? Michael.
Spirit flame.
Wrong.
Ember flame.
Also incorrect. The correct answer was Soul Links.
Oh.
No. And Jen,
but it's on fire.
It's
an ember and a flame.
You're listening to the Left Behind Game Club.
Welcome to the Left Behind Game Club, our never-ending attempt to make sure that no game is left behind. I'm your host, Jacob McCourt, and today I have 2 friends with me. The first friend, he's dabbing or doing some sort of great say-a-man type posing.
I'm pointing you to the beach.
It's Michael Ruffolo.
I'm excited to talk about a great game, boys.
Let's talk about a great game with a new guest who's not been on the podcast before. Welcome, Nick O'Hagan-Wong.
Guys, I'm so excited to talk about this game.
It's such a good game, right?
It's so good.
Okay, great.
And the game we're going to talk about is Ori and the Blind Forest, developed by Moon Studios, published by Microsoft Studios, released on the Xbox One and on Windows. What the heck is Ori and the Blind Forest?
It is a Metroidvania-style puzzle platformer.
And quickly, if you don't know what Metroidvania is, what is a Metroidvania game?
What you should do is you should go back and listen to our last episode on Shadow Complex, where we cover another Metroidvania game.
What?
Where I explained that Metroidvanias are inspired by both Metroid and Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And it involves progressing through a level where there are gated areas that you will only be able to unlock later when you get new weapons, items, abilities that allow you to progress. And it creates this really nice little treasure chest effect where you find new things in areas you felt you knew really well.
So it's find thing, dopamine, find thing, dopamine, find thing, dopamine. That's the way this works, right?
Yes.
Yes.
It's a slot machine.
It is. It's like a pachinko machine. Where should we start with Ori and the Blind Forest? Does someone want to tackle and try and explain what the heck goes on with this game?
Well, I guess I'll take a stab at it here. So you're essentially this little rabbit? You're a dog?
You're a spirit rabbit.
You're an adorable little animal of some
pure
sort.
Goodness.
You're essentially a rabbit from Rayman, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that. Interesting you say that.
How was my rabbit impression? Was it?
Real good.
Thank
Real
you.
Good. You just need to flip over this table and then we're there. Oh, damn it, Jacob! I told you.
Go ahead, Nick. I'm sorry.
So you're this little adorable rabbit, and I guess are we going to jump into how the game started, or just So
I think we have to start at the story because that's how the game starts.
Really, yeah. So
there's this weird Teletubby. Okay.
Yeah. What's his name?
I don't know.
It's like Naruto.
So,
that's not
Naruto. Yes, it's Naruto and Boruto. Where's Mo? Because he's the guy who knows Naruto. So I wrote all the names down because I had a lot of trouble with it through the game. So you play as Ori.
Yes.
The Navi-like creature
that
you are with is named Sein. So S-E-I-N.
The little... Hey, listen. That one?
Exactly. Yeah,
okay.
that one.
Okay.
Gumo is the little spider-like...
Glowbox.
yeah.
That's a little spider guy's Gumo.
Yeah, Glowbox.
Naru is your large bear-like buddy. Who's the big...
Yeah.
Who's like
Teletubby.
the bear in the big blue couch. Do you guys remember that?
I have no idea.
I thought it was Blue's Clues.
Yeah.
A large Teletubby-esque bear, and then Kuro is the large bird creature. So did we all get that? Because there's a quiz later.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Yep.
No, please. Oh, damn it. Okay.
So Naru is your buddy, and you play as Ori. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. So Naru's your friend. You're Ori. And then, it starts off, you're living this really happy life. You're just in the forest. You're eating all these oranges. You guys are just, having a great time. And then all of a sudden, the light goes away. And then the forest starts dying. And you're just, kind of trucking along, doing your best. And then all the fruit starts going away. And then...
And all the peaches that you were able to pull off these trees suddenly get harder and harder to find.
Yeah.
And your big Teletubby friend has trouble finding enough food to survive.
I don't know about y'all, but I almost cried. Like I was lulled into this this wonderful area. I'm like, oh, I'm watching a Studio Ghibli film.
Yeah.
I'm like loving what's going on. And then the rug is pulled and I'm sitting on my back crying because I don't know what just happened. Why?
Literally.
Oh, soft boy.
I'm a soft boy. Sorry. So he dies of starvation, right?
Yeah, he dies, and the whole idea is you just gotta go and bring the light back, right?
Yeah.
Get the force back to all its good little self.
Because you actually die, right? Like Ori dies.
Ori
Ori
Look,
dies.
that
and
was
the
8
sense-
hours ago. I don't remember. You have to help me out.
Ori dies.
Yeah,
and
I
the
think,
spirit tree's last big thing before it kind of
Final
loses
act.
all its energy.
That's right, yeah.
Is it brings Ori back to life in order to save the blind forest.
That's nuts.
And to save the blind forest, you need to restore the 3 main elements, and that's kind of how the game is divided: waters, winds, and warmth.
So Ori is Jesus.
Ori is a small spiritual Jesus.
Fantastic. Okay. So on this quest, Ori, aka Jesus, has a little "Hey, listen" accompaniment, aka the Holy Spirit, who's there to help protect him and guide him throughout the game. And so your little buddy, "Hey, listen," is he's not only your weapon, but he's also your guide when it comes to interacting with elements in the world. So
He's almost like a key as well then, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
he's your multi-tool.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that brings up one of the elements of the game, which it's kind of light on RPG elements. There's an upgrade tree, and different there's both health that you have to manage and energy that you have to manage, and they're all in these little dots on the bottom of the screen, and you fill them up by either jumping on plants that look like the piranha plant bulb in Mario, or smacking these crystals with your little "Hey, listen, buddy," and collecting the orbs.
Yeah. So, is it a time to talk about the whole tech tree that? Okay,
let's do
I
it.
want to jump into that because I got beef with that.
Oh,
So-
He's starting off with beef.
So
coming out swinging, Nick.
This was the one thing that really it really upset me. So there's 3 paths you could take. There's the red, then there was the purple, I think, then the green. So the three paths you can take. And I saw the one had an air dash, and I was like, this seems really cool. I really want to get this air dash. So I saved up all my tokens, whatever,
Yeah.
built up to that tech tree, got it. Never figured out how to use it. And I was looking at I looked up on Google. I'm like, how do you use this air dash? And couldn't find anything.
You mean right bumper?
Is that what it was?
It was right bumper.
Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed.
I bought that too, and I didn't know how to use it.
Didn't know how to use it.
It was the last thing I bought, so thankfully
It was essential. How did you guys go through the game without having the air dash?
Well, some of us are just very good at video games.
No, I'm actually if you've listened to the show before, you know that I'm a terrible person at video. I'm literally the worst person at video games. I'll tell you later how many times I died. It's embarrassing.
Nah, I didn't die. I died a similar number of times that you did.
I don't know how much you guys died, so this could be even more embarrassing for me.
Should we just do it now?
Sure.
Okay, let's do it now.
Okay.
All right, so similar to our Hitman episodes where we go through and see who's the worst at it, I died 545 times.
So here's the thing with mine. I didn't.
Starts with a caveat. This is going so well.
So I checked my stat for my last save. So when the game ended, I
Right.
wasn't able to catch that splash screen. So I don't actually know what my final number is.
You
so
don't have the escape from
right
the
before the
volcano.
escape, yeah, I got my stats. So I had 425.
Ooh, okay.
I told you I'm terrible at video
Okay.
games.
I have 458. So Nick completed this, depending on how that last little escape from the volcano went.
I would say probably anywhere between 25 and 50.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, because I died 100 times, in that
Did you?
in that last
Yeah.
escape. But we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
It was very tough.
So
where were we?
Nick and I both purchased this air dash
dash.
that we did not use, and you asked how we got through the game without it, and we both responded with skill. And you unfortunately needed the air dash, but you got through the game,
I did.
and you got through the game in a similar amount of time that I did.
You checked that as well. So
I did, because I was looking at the leaderboard just before I came over here.
Oh, that's so smart. Yeah, I went through the game in 8 hours and 45 minutes.
And I went through in 8 hours and 25 minutes.
So same thing. My last save was 7 hours and 15 minutes.
There you
Oh,
whoa. That's faster.
That is very fast.
That's quite a bit faster.
I'm really good at video games, guys.
But it kind of falls in line with what was said about this game. It's anywhere from an 8 to 10 hour game.
Mm-hmm.
Did you play it on Xbox One? Because it's available on Xbox Game Pass.
That's where I played it.
So I played it on Steam, but I use a 360 controller.
Okay.
Ah, interesting. How did you find it?
Well, for any platformer, I feel like you need a controller. Like
I'd agree.
you can't mouse and keyboard a platformer.
I've only ever played one platformer on PC, and it was Pandemonium 2.
It's probably terrible.
And it was fantastic.
Oh, well, never mind then.
Just because it's a really good game.
Yeah.
I played Braid on PC without a controller and just keyboard, and I'm like, this is the worst thing
sounds
imaginable.
Mm-hmm.
How did you work with the jump though? Because I found before you started getting upgrades, I just could not figure out the jump. Like it was way too floaty and imprecise for me.
Oh, that was absolutely necessary though, because you need to jump on the wall to jump off and keep moving your way up.
Right, when you got a double jump and when you got some of the abilities later down the road, but when you first start the game, you have no abilities and it's just a jump. I had such a hard time with it because it was too floaty and imprecise for me.
I thought it was actually very predictable, the jump. Like, I actually liked it a lot compared to, well, if you compare it to, let's say, like Super Meat Boy, where you're just flying everywhere and it's like a million miles an hour. This was nice and floaty and it's predictable. So I liked it. I thought the mechanics were really good.
I think that's a fantastic comparison. I love Super Meat Boy, and I love both the jump in that game because I feel like you have absolute control. And I love the jump in this game because as much as it's floaty, you learn very quickly just how much sway you have in controlling your character and what you're going to be able to do and what you don't. And no matter how difficult the level, I never felt that when I died, it was the control's fault. I felt it was my fault.
100% agree.
And that is, to me, the high watermark of good, tight controls.
There was an article published by Alex Newhouse from GameSpot before the game came out, and the way he described the game, just so if anyone listening is trying to understand what it looks like, what it feels like, what it plays like, he said, according to developer Moon Studios, Ori and the Blind Forest is a Metroidvania adventure game with platforming like Super Meat Boy and Mario, art like Rayman and Child of Light, the Ubi art games, and story like The Iron Giant and The Lion King.
I would add, so I think that's a very good description. I would add the visual aesthetic is also very much like Trine. If you guys have ever played Trine, it was a platformer that involved 3 characters that you could switch in between. And it had a really nice, rich color scheme with a good sense of depth, which I think was one of the really nice elements of the game. One of the interesting things, if you look at the credits, it's Airborn Studios is the one that does all of the art. And if you go and you look at their portfolio, they do stuff for everyone.
Do they?
They do all kinds of art. It seems like nowadays the only thing that they're doing is Fortnite skins. But if you look at all of the stuff that they have done, they've worked across every publisher, every major developer. They do all kinds of stuff. Their Twitter feed is a fantastic little insight into the different little projects they've worked on, because they're always, giving a wink and a nod. It seems like they've done a lot of stuff for Overwatch as well. So a lot of really cool art there.
And that's Airborn, how do you spell that? Because it's a weird spelling, right? Just in case people want to take a look at it.
AIRBORN.
Oh.
Who would have thought?
Born in the air.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Cool.
So back to the air.
Yeah.
You really appreciated having that dash charge.
Yeah, I found that when I started the game, it was really tough to get going. Because usually, like let's say I play another Metroidvania game where there's a jump. Let's say I'm playing Super Metroid or something like that. I know exactly the jump is very precise. This jump I found was just a little less precise. It got better when I got the double jump, because what I was doing at the double jump is instead of using it a lot of the time to jump higher, I would use it to almost like stabilize myself on a platform. Before the double jump, it was very, very tough. As you got more and more abilities, as you tend to in Metroidvania games, it got a lot easier for me to move around, but just at the start, it was tough.
Mm-hmm.
So what was like the next skill after that double jump? Because that was the first thing, right?
That was 8 hours ago. So
Oh, well.
my memory is not quite that good. I remember the game absolutely changed for me at 2 moments. One where I was able to steal, is it Kuro, the owl?
Yep.
Kuro's feather when you fight him/her for the first time. And the second time the game changed for me is when I was able to get that charge jump, because you're just able to get to all kinds of little locations you might normally not be able to, especially when you figure out, I know I didn't figure this out immediately, that it's not a directly vertical or directly horizontal jump. You can angle it in whichever angle best suits you.
So that's actually, I'm surprised you didn't say it was that air projectile jump thing. Because that was pretty much like a core mechanic, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because that was like, I find that was the biggest game changer. Because I used that almost everything. Even killing those stupid bullfrogs. It was always throw projectiles back at them, right?
So is that how you got them most of the time? You shooting their own projectile back at them?
I found it ended up being the safest way to do it, because those things probably killed me the most out of all the I guess, enemies or whatever.
Right. Jacob, what about you?
I would use that, but then I upgraded on the skill tree to where my charge, it would charge, but then also how it would split. So I found that when I got the kind of the firing split, it really helped with those spider guys, because you would shoot double the projectiles. And
spiders or bullfrogs? So one of the things that I guess we should cover is that in this game, it takes place in a forest, if the title didn't give that away. And all of the different types of forest creatures are the enemies that you have to deal with, because I think the concept is that they're all corrupted through some evil that's spread into the forest. And so in the water, you face off against these piranhas. On land, you face off against these spiders, these slugs, and these bullfrogs. And in the air, you fight against swirling blocks that have a gravity core in the middle that shoot fire at you.
Well, yeah, nature.
Yeah.
Duh.
You know, the things you find in a forest.
mostly stuff you'd find in like wetlands forests,
yes,
right?
You know, circling gravitational bits of rock that shoot fireballs at you.
100%.
Yeah.
I go outside. I promise.
This is not just the thing that exists in video games.
Weren't those things actually like, what was it, the creation of the Gumons or something?
Yes.
Was that it? Was that what they were?
I think that's what it was. Or at least when you get to the Gumon area, you realize like, yo, these guys were like incredibly advanced. And their puzzles are unlike anything we've seen so far. Because they're all gravity-based puzzles, and I loved it.
So, okay, so I played this game in 2 sittings. Okay, so...
Whoa.
Yo.
That's impressive.
That's
it was just like, crank them out, whatever. So my second sitting, I was like, okay, you know what? I got this nice beer from LCBO. And I'm like, I'm gonna drink this beer as I play this game. Right?
It's a Liquor Control Board of Ontario, for those of you who are not from Ontario.
Nick's like, the game difficulty says medium, but I'm cranking it up to hard.
So I found out that this beer that I had was an Imperial Stout, and it was 11.5%.
Yo!
And this was, I'm about halfway through it when I get to that gravity section, and that was the most frustrating thing I've ever done in my entire life.
Wow. Okay. What about you? How did you find it, Jacob?
Those gravity puzzles, I took me half an hour to realize that I needed to jump off of them to kind of jump down. Like, I just couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
I was staring at it. I'm like, why can't I get this? That wasn't working.
Oh, yeah, but it's one of those, it's like secondhand fun. Like, at the time, you hate it, but then you go back and you're like, that was the coolest puzzle ever, right?
So cool.
Yeah, I really appreciated it.
I love momentum and gravity puzzles. It's one of the reasons why I love Portal so much. I figured out very quickly that I had to use the momentum and the gravity of them. I could not figure out the correct order to get past it very quickly. So I understood the mechanic. I didn't understand how to solve the problem, the puzzle very quickly.
Because there's multiple of them in this one dungeon.
Yeah.
One of the 3 dungeons in the game, right?
Yeah, and so I guess in that section you're trying to collect these puzzle keys, I guess. They're kind of floating all over the place. And there's no exact order you have to get them, but there's definitely an optimal path. Mm-hmm. Because they teach you things as you go through, and each lesson is supposed to help you get the next one. And so the difficulty here is that they were often put in just really uncomfortable places, and you had to have a real good grasp of the mechanics to be able to get them.
Mm-hmm. Either they were surrounded by spikes, or because there were like these spiny spikes all the way through the environment,
all over the place,
or lava. And some of the time, like depending on how much health you end up having throughout the game of those special like health crystals you found, you could die in 2 shots. Some of them you could die in 1 shot.
Yeah, it was. Okay, so I guess this brings up a good question. Talking about dying, how often did you guys save? Because one of the things that I found was I was cursing at the game multiple times because I am a baby and I have been conditioned by modern video games that they will do the saving for me. And in this game, there is almost no saving that's done for you. So I will complete a huge chunk of the game and then die to a very simple little bullfrog or a spider or, the things that you find in nature, gravitational cores with, bricks hovering around it that shoot fireballs. And I would be transported back at least half an hour, maybe more.
Half an hour?
Yo, it took me a long time because I was thick.
I thought you were going to say like, oh yeah, I went back like 3 or 4 minutes.
I
4
wish.
jumps, like seriously.
I wish.
Yeah, because I started the game and I was the same way. Didn't really save for a lot of the time, but by the end, it was like kill a guy, save, make a jump, save. Like it was because I got so frustrated for that exact same reason. Right?
Yeah.
So these soul links that you could create, which were the fire, basically the campfires you could create.
That's a good description.
You were limited. Hey, I know games. I never played a
games.
Dark Souls. What's that? Campfires. But you create these soul links, which are campfires where you can save from, and you get to restore a little bit of health. But they're finite, so you can only depending on how much health or how much energy you have, you can only spawn 1 of them or 2 of them until you gather more energy. So as you've said, you can save every once in a while, but you have to space them out because you may get to a point where, damn, I need to save, but I used all my energy. Yeah. So it's management of that energy with relation to soul links. That's very difficult.
So it's funny that you bring up campfires. And this game strikes me so much of Dark Souls. Like there are all of these different ways that the game punishes you and is really hard. And then you go back to an area that you've completed previously and you know exactly where all the enemies are. You're now a little bit better equipped and you're just able to steamroll through everything. Where previously they were a huge pest for you, and now they are nothing at all. And it rewards just really tight controls of the gameplay. Even though those enemies didn't get weaker, you just became more proficient with your controls and got better at it over time.
I thought it was just more of like I agree that there was that nice progression, but do you play a lot of Metroidvania games?
I realize now I do.
Mm-hmm.
I realize I love them, and I try and play them any opportunity I can. So I streamed the second half of this game on Twitch, and some of the members of the community came and hung out with me, and they were telling me, like, oh, what about this game? Like, what about Hollow Knight? What about these? I'm like, I have heard so many good things about these games, and I didn't realize that they were Metroidvanias. So I'm absolutely going to go and play some of those now that I'm more aware that there are a lot more out there.
Because I love, despite not being on the podcast last week, love Shadow Complex, one of my favorites. But there are the other ones, like Insanely Twisted Shadow Planet, which is like one that
a Metroidvania?
That is considered a Metroidvania game. Despite the movement not being the same as all the other Metroidvanias, they consider it a Metroidvania game. Huh. So there's tons of different ones. Guacamelee, also considered a Metroidvania game. Like there's tons. Travis, who's been on the show before, adores Hollow Knight. It was like his favorite game of last year. Even Celeste. Would you call that a Metroidvania?
I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
That I'd be like, some would say platformer, but like, does it have like elements of Metroidvania?
Huh.
Going through all these games, you guys make me realize how much I don't play Metroidvania games. This is probably actually like the first one I've ever played. Okay. Well, maybe not the first one I've ever played, but I never play them now.
Did you enjoy it?
It was awesome. I really liked it though. But it was mostly like the visuals were pretty unreal in it. Like I can't get over that.
This game looks so good. And one of the things that I love about it is it uses 3 dimensions in a 2-dimensional gameplay experience. And it very rarely pulls out to show you a full 3D effect. It's very often, some elements deep in the distance and very few elements closer to the camera. But there are moments when you go to the Gumon temple and there are all these floating rings and you jump into the middle and the camera pans out and you see all of these rings lined up and you're right in the middle of it and there's a big explosion. It's just amazing direction and camera work.
And the thing,
throughout this game.
It's so seamless too. Like sometimes like you can tell when you're getting to a cutscene or whatever. This was just like, it just happens, but you don't know if you're playing. Like, there were some points where a cutscene would end, and I wasn't sure if I should keep going or not, because it was just like, they did such a good job with that.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
There were so many moments where I didn't pick up the controller or kind of put the controller down because a cutscene had started, and then I realized, why is Ori just standing there? Oh, I should be playing this right now.
For me, it was when the Kuro interactions happened. So when the large bird creature is like moving between the foreground and the background and like trying to kill you, and then like
Flying right at you.
My mouth was agape. I'm just like, I can't. What?
Yeah.
Because this game at this point is 4 years old, and it's phenomenal. It just looks phenomenal. Just like Rayman Origins and Child of Light, those UbiArt games we talked about earlier.
It is so influenced by the Rayman games. And I didn't realize it until I got halfway through. And I realized, like, oh my God, I made a joke that our little, what's his name? Gumon, that's it.
Something.
I called him
Gumo of the
Glowbox.
Gumon clan.
That's
Oh.
it. I called him Glowbox, and I was like, "Where's Glowbox from?" I'm like, "Rayman." And this game has so much in common with Rayman. It's very tight platforming. This game looks fantastic, and there are a lot of really good, fun experiences with it. Speaking of our friend Kuro, the owl, when I was playing through those sections, the only thing I was thinking of is like, wow, this is fun and easy, and Jacob's going to hate this.
Hey, guess what? I hated it.
Nailed it.
But you know what I did love? I loved the escape sequences.
Really?
Yeah. So I knew you were going to be like, oh, Jacob's going to hate Kuro. Did hate Kuro. But like, it was a good hate. It was oh, you got me again, Kuro. But the escapes, just the way that, so each temple, there's like 3 temples throughout the game. And after you kind of achieve or release one of the 3 elementals within each of the temples, you have to escape. So one of the escapes, for example, is you've let the wind go, so now the wind is going to take you up and out of this location.
Those are so fun.
But the water is coming up below you, and you can't like beat the water because water beats air, I guess,
Something like that. Yeah.
but the way the music swells and the way that your like motions have to be perfect, I was like, even though it took me 50 times, I was in awe and I loved it. The music in this game, I want to talk about it later.
The music was so good.
It was so good. I was listening to it studying today.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to be on my playlist for a little while. I want to talk about it a little bit later, but like the music in those sequences, just it was perfect.
That's amazing.
But with those escape sequences, it was so satisfying by the time you got out, because that was the thing. It's like muscle memory, right?
Yeah.
Just kind of rip through them until you kind of get the hang of it. Then when you finish it, it was like, oh, it felt so good. I was like, yeah, I'm good at video games.
Yeah,
I
and
can
there's
do this.
such a rush.
Yeah.
And I think it's a combination of the aesthetics of the screen. It's always, the lava right at your back, or the water just inches from you, or the wind just rushing you up really fast. And the combination of the music being this, it's picking up in tempo. It's picking up in speed, right? Yeah. It's so good. So good. So yeah, they orchestrate an amazing
It was really well done.
escape scene
Yeah.
to just bring all your senses together and feel excited by it.
Another part that I really liked, well, actually, I guess I kind of hated it, but it was the most stressful part of the entire game, was when you have to hide from Kuro.
Really?
The owl. So I remember when I didn't really know what to do, and that first time she swept down and got me, I actually almost dropped my controller. So it was just one of those jump things, like, oh my God.
I totally agree, because there's a moment when Kuro kills you versus when anything else kills you. Like when you die on a spike trap, or when
you get it. Yeah.
It's like, whatever. But when Kuro kills you, it's like, yo, that is a story moment. That is like serious. That's legit.
That was
definitely.
It was terrifying. But I remember going through those things when it jumps up and it's gone. You're like, oh God, it's coming any second now. And yeah, I think my blood pressure went up so high during that. It was so stressful.
And just to paint kind of a picture, if you played BioShock Infinite, Songbird, it reminded me a lot, like take away the steampunk elements and make it a little bit more owly. That's what Kuro is in this game.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So, what did you guys think of the story? What did you think of the characters? Because I started getting really metaphorical and trying to think of, okay, what is the story? What are they trying to say? What is the What are the characters? Where can I see this going?
So I guess what I got out of it, I liked the story first of all, just because it was very like playful,
It's
like whatever,
warm and
lighthearted,
uplifting,
yeah. And no, what I got from it is like, you know what? Everyone's good. Everyone's good. And I was like,
love you, Nick O'Hagan.
that's so nice. Like
Nick's takeaway is that's so nice.
I was like, wow. Well, because Kuro is just like just a mama, trying to save her babies, and then Gumo just wanted to unthaw his friends, and Kuro ended up sacrificing herself for a little baby, and everyone was happy.
Yeah, I think it definitely highlights that no one is the villain of their own story.
Yeah,
there's everyone has their own motivations that make sense.
I thought the end of the game, when they showed a cave painting, like that was the perfect epitome of what this game was. It was like hieroglyphics. It was like a painting. It was just this very like children's book-esque story where, even the bad guy is a little bit good. So that's kind of what I got out of it too.
So when I'm thinking about the beginning of this game and our friend Teletubby dies, okay? And it's only after your friend the Teletubby dies that you then see Kuro the owl. And if you look at our friend Teletubby's face, right, it's a white circle with 2 eyes. And if you look at the owl's face, it's a dark body with a white circle and 2 eyes. And I was like, maybe this owl is the reincarnation of our Teletubby friend when they've died, and they're now angry that the people of the forest have allowed this corruption to set in and destroyed them. I thought, I was like, maybe this is a metaphor for environmentalism and taking care of our planet and stewardship and then at the end I realized none of that stuff.
Deep lore.
This is pretty wow.
I was digging in and it was not giving me anything back.
Well, usually you can go on YouTube and someone has deconstructed 40 minutes of, this is what the deep lore in this game means. Yeah. But there isn't one of those for this. I checked. Maybe you should make one and make yourself some YouTube money.
Ori is Jesus. That's it. Because look, at the end, guess who's resurrected in the egg?
Oh, you're going biblical.
Last I checked, Jesus.
Jesus.
And on the third day, it said, let there be Ori. There is a sequel coming in 2019, so he's going to have to resurrect. Jesus Part 2, yes. So it was announced at E3 2017. In 2019, we are getting Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Love it.
And it'll come on Game Pass as well. So for all of you that have Game Pass, you can just get it day one as well.
I can't wait.
So speaking of wisps and Navi, did you guys notice the Triforce?
No,
there was a Triforce hidden somewhere. I can't remember. I think it was that first temple, but it was like carved out in a tree. I'm like, wait a minute. They're not even be subtle about this. Like,
can I actually double down on your theory?
Sure.
So did you play the definitive edition?
I did. So
in the definitive edition, if you go in the special features, there's a prototype that the game was called Sein before. So Sein, your kind of Navi character. And in the game, there was a chanting or a singing element of the game where it literally looked like Ocarina of Time with the like C buttons like to do singing. So like there's more to it than just, there's a Triforce.
Oh yeah, totally.
I feel like
I'll have to go back and watch that. That's like, I thought it was pretty funny though. Like straight up plagiarism.
Inspiration,
yeah, that's right.
Guys, tell me the language in this game is not super adorable and cool. Go ahead, try and tell me.
I thought it was kind of annoying.
Yeah, Nick, I'll give you another shot. Try again.
It was okay, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you. It was so cool. It was great. It was like, it's like children playing, and this is a language, and I love it.
It was like Journey in a lot of ways.
It made me feel real warm inside.
Mm-hmm. And here's your tie to Journey. In the special thanks, Austin Wintory, the composer of Journey. So
interesting.
Tying those two together. We're just tying it all together. Give me more conspiracies. I got my red yarn out. Let's go.
All of Jacob's trivia nuggets are just getting out
dropping.
There.
It's almost like we're introducing a trivia segment in this show.
What?
Oh.
Just wait for it. Wait for it. I want to say that you know what this game made me feel?
Tell me about your feels.
I'm a huge fan of Home Alone, right?
Okay.
So this whole game to me was like that scene in Home Alone 2 where Kevin McAllister looks up at the little boy in the hospital, and the little boy in the hospital is just waving ahead from the window, and then Kevin waves back. That's the way I felt playing this game the whole time.
So I felt that way similarly because I was playing this and our good friend Kevin was in the Xbox Live party with me, and he was waving to me from Fortnite, and I was waving to him from Ori, and we could not be together until I finished this game. And then I did.
Wow, that was so beautiful.
I hope I didn't trample upon the great feeling that you had there, Jacob, because I also felt that.
You know what? I'm just going to think of Kevin Rayburn now whenever I watch Home Alone every Christmas, so thank you.
You're going to imagine a little Kevin Rayburn lost in New York City fighting burglars in his parents' old...
Yes. I'm going to imagine Donald Trump saying, "Go this way, son," to a little Kevin Rayburn in the Plaza Hotel. It's going to be swell. It's going to be swell.
So as far as feelings go during the game, yeah, it was cool. Like the cutscenes made me feel all nice and everything, but I think in between that, I just got so fired up because this game was actually really hard.
Yes, but like fun hard.
It was fun. It was like, so it wasn't so hard that you just hated every second of it, but it wasn't so easy that it was just like a breeze. It was like a solid 8.3 out of 10 in difficulty.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I appreciate the specificity.
Yeah. Well, decimals say a lot,
They do. They do. See, I didn't find the actual mechanics of this game hard. I found moments in this game hard. Like when they tell you, "Hey, you're in this area and we need you to go to this area over here in this forest where the moment you touch the ground, the world's going to react like you ate mushrooms. And you're not going to be able to see the map. And you're not going to be able to find a map keystone. It doesn't matter how many you've collected already. You're just going to have to figure it out." That was infuriating to me because I didn't know which direction I was going. I didn't know where I had been. I didn't know what else I needed to do. That was difficult. The other sections where they ask you to just jump completely to other areas of the map and just assume like you know that that's what you have to do, that was frustrating me. But whenever I stumbled across like a platforming challenge, I knew what I needed to do. And it was not, aside from the gravity section where I understood that gravity was at play, but I couldn't solve the puzzle. The vast majority of time, it was just me getting better with the controls, and I felt that I was getting better. So that little bit of reward and dopamine as I went made it so much more bearable. And it's a hard game, but I didn't feel like it was an 8.3. I'd give it somewhere around a 6.8, 6.9, maybe a 7.
Okay.
It wasn't unfair.
That's a thing. See, I think that's...
It's not unfair. Exactly.
It's not unfair. That's what I liked about it. Yeah. But it was like... So I'm referring specifically, there was this one puzzle in the last temple with those floaty fire things, the lava, yeah. And there was one of those purple gates that would open once you killed all the enemies, and you had to kill all the floaty lava things. That was insane.
I felt stupid, and I looked on a walkthrough to figure out what I needed to do to get above, and it's like, you just got to kill these guys. I'm like, is that it? Is that all I had to do?
But then you go in, and it was... I thought that was probably one of the hardest parts for me in the game.
See, I did not find beating those guys hard because, they shoot the projectile at you, and then you just shoot it right back at them, and then you just hold right trigger, and you float until the next guy shoots one at you, and then you shoot it back at him, and you just keep going down.
Just couldn't do it, Mike.
Oh, okay.
Couldn't do it.
I didn't love the lava temple at all.
Maybe I feel like I flew through it.
Definitely.
But you're the one who completed this game, Nick, with more than an hour to spare on both Jacob and I. So, maybe...
I don't know. Maybe that was really...
not as hard as you think it.
Maybe I just don't play enough Metroidvania games.
Maybe it's because you were drinking an 11% alcohol beer.
Probably it, yeah.
Yeah, I just felt like the lava temple was too long. It
was too long.
There was like 6 different areas in it where all the other temples maybe had 2 or 3.
And it was sequence locked, which sucked.
Yeah, I'm like, why can't I tackle these in whatever order I want to? I know that's not how it's supposed to go, but it was at the end of the game. I'm like, I just want to see the end now because I'm already here. And I don't know. I just... It could have been half the length. That's the only part of the game that I felt dragged on. The overworld, it wasn't the most... there wasn't the most stuff in the in-between parts of the overworld. Didn't bother me. The lava temple did, though.
I wish there was more underwater stuff.
Yeah.
I liked being underwater.
I did, too. The only thing is underwater, things tend to stress me out. It's like, you remember old school Sonic?
I knew you were going there.
Yeah. That's... I think I just got PTSD from that. Yeah.
You're seeing Sonic's face just go...
Exactly.
Formative childhood experiences.
But no, definitely. So with that last like fire temple, was that lava mechanic to unlock the one below whatever? Could have ended like 4 earlier for sure. And it was just like it wore off pretty quickly.
Because there were 8 different
think there
puzzles
were,
to
yeah.
solve inside the lava section, which is more than any other temple I remember. So yeah, I could definitely see there being less. I enjoyed the challenge of those that, you can't stand on this platform for more than a second. You've got to keep jumping, or you have to keep moving, or you have to be dodging these laser beams. I thought those were a lot of fun. I appreciated the challenge. They actually weren't as hard as I was expecting them to be, but I could definitely do with less of them. I feel like they took advantage of the fact that at that point in the game, you were as adept with the controls and the puzzle-solving capability as you were ever going to. And I think typically designers, like to use a lot of the things that they've been given at that point. So you were able to handle a lot of different difficult puzzles, so they threw a lot of different difficult puzzles at you.
Yeah, we're going to integrate wind and lava, and hey, you have to use your like charge jump, like everything together, just like you've said. That last escape did it all. What I appreciated though is that there wasn't a quote unquote final boss.
Totally.
What I hate about games is when there's a final boss that like ruins the end of the game. That is either there. Think about, and I hate that I keep going back to BioShock, but BioShock with Atlas, like
yuck.
Why yuck?
Would you kindly stop talking about that?
About Atlas?
Yeah.
Why do I keep bringing back?
No, you don't remember. Would you kindly?
Yeah. I see what you did there. See, it's so burrowed deep in my brain that I didn't even realize it. Whatever you say, Michael.
Thank you. And now we move on. BioShock is a bad boss. There are a lot of bad bosses in video games. It's really tough to wrap up a story in video games and have it be interactive and give the player that control, but also wrap up the narrative in a definitive fashion. And not everyone wants to have the rule of Nintendo games where it's 3 different versions of a boss, or 3 attacks to take him down. I appreciated that there wasn't a final boss in this game. I thought it was a great way to wrap it up.
So what did you guys think of like that last escape sequence then?
Loved it.
It was awesome. It was really fun.
I would have been frustrated had that been the first time that Kuro chases you. But because it was the second and I realized the different areas that I would be able to hide, I felt so much more confident going through it. It was so much easier than the first time I had to run away, even though there are more elements at play in this one. And it felt so rewarding. I felt like I was way ahead of this one than I was in the previous one. I was able to see exactly what the challenge was and get through it much faster than I was the very first escape challenge from Kuro.
It took me 100 times, but I actually appreciated it. And the way the game finished too was like exactly what I wanted. This game a lot of the time was exactly what I wanted. Not less, not more. Baby bear.
What did you find, Nick?
So the last escape sequence was so intense. Like when you compare the other enemies in the game, they're just kind of like these little guys. They shoot projectiles at you. You die kind of whatever. But when you went out, it was stressful, right? Like the guy comes down, and everything's breaking around you. It was really the first time other than the other escapes. Well, actually the other escape sequences were kind of still manageable. This just seemed like nuts. Like there was a lot going on.
Totally.
Yeah, but it was going through. It was just like, it was so satisfying finishing it off.
I was definitely taken aback by Kuro catching Ori at the end after he's trying to fly away on the feather. Don't know why that took me so long to find. But yeah, it all resolved in, I guess, the way you want it to.
Did he kill Ori?
Yeah.
Yeah, he killed Ori again.
Ori dead.
Ori died?
Yeah, in the end.
I think I was just too hammered at that point. Like, I just don't remember.
You're at the bottom of 11% beer.
So here's the final 3 minutes of the game. So Kuro catches Ori in the Talon, whips Ori down, and Ori is on the ground, just dead. And that's when our friend Gumo and our friend Naru, so the bear and the spider, the Gumon, come with the orb. I don't know what the orb of light, basically orb that came from the spirit tree, and then bring Ori back to life. Okay? And that's when the condition of the forest is getting worse, And as the condition of the forest is getting worse, that's when Naru realizes that, like, oh man, like I'm in the position to put this pearl, this orb back on the spirit tree, because I have to save my one last egg. And also because of this sacrifice that I've seen here, because of like Naru basically walking up and saying like...
This Teletubby was a mother too.
Yeah, the Teletubby was a mother.
That's right.
Exactly. It's like, if you're going to kill like Ori again, like just kill me now, like kill me first. And like that's when Naru had the ultimate
It
sacrifice.
was like looking in a mirror.
Yes. It was such a beautiful moment where I'm like, damn.
Not only physically, because they were both, dark blue and white faced, but also, on a life experience level.
Mm-hmm. They looked at each other and said, yeah, I get you.
I'm a mama too.
I'm a mama too.
No, it's all coming back. I got in my notes Naru MVP.
I appreciate that you can take all of that and summarize it into a bullet list.
Yeah,
Naru
that's all you need to know.
Not even 3 words.
Better than my notes that just say literally Timon and Pumbaa 3 different times.
Boys, we had a good time with this game.
Yeah, it was awesome. Really enjoyed it.
The good times don't end though, because, gentlemen, I have a surprise.
What?
Yeah.
I love surprises.
So, Nick, you've never heard this. Mike, you've never heard this. We're going to try something different on the Left Behind Game Club.
We don't do that.
This time we do. It's a new year, new me. Welcome to the Left Behind Quiz Corner.
Ooh, baby.
Cue music.
Cue the music. So, Michael, you've pointed out there that you have a buzzer. Nick, you also have a buzzer. I have 5 questions here, gentlemen, and I don't know why I've gone to the game show host voice, but I'm going to keep going with this. 5 questions. Nick, give the people at home an idea of what your buzzer sounds like. So you have the siren. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, absolutely.
And Michael,
Nick's a bad boy.
He's a bad boy. Bad boy Nick.
He hears it all the time on his motorcycle.
And Mike, give the audience at home an idea of what your siren sounds like.
Charge!
So when I ask the question, wait until the question is done being asked.
We'll see.
Then the first buzzer I hear, you answer. The first person to 3 will win.
Okay.
But we'll go through it for the audience. I have a tiebreaker just in case there's a tie as well.
Okay.
First question. What is the name of the large bird that serves... Michael.
Kuro.
Kuro is correct. 1-0 Michael. The second question. How many...
It's Ori.
That is the incorrect answer, and you lose your ability to buzz in, Michael.
Okay.
How many different branches of the upgrade tree are there?
There are 3.
Correct.
And one of them is broken.
Third question. Who is the developer of this game?
Moon Studios with art by Airborn Studios.
That is more than I wanted and correct.
Well, I'm really good
Suck
at
it,
this.
Nick.
3-0 for Michael. The fourth question. What is it called when you set down a spiritual fire to save the game and heal? Michael.
Spirit Flame.
Wrong.
Ember Flame.
Also incorrect. The correct answer was Soul Links.
No.
And as a final question...
But it's on fire.
It's
an ember and a flame.
The most difficult question, and we'll be using Price is Right rules for this, so don't go over. A mean one. How many tracks are on this game's soundtrack? You get to answer first, Michael. What do you think?
13.
13? Nick, what is your answer?
Over or under, Nick?
14.
The correct answer is 32.
Oh.
So
who would have thought?
So 3-1 for Michael. Michael, you are the first winner of the Left Behind Quiz Corner.
Charge to victory, boys!
Mike, you deserve that.
Thank you.
We played a really good half. Really went in guns a-blazing, but, really...
Is this a hockey interview now? Guys, you put the wheels on and, you just... All the boys were good.
Sometimes you just got to show up.
You win some, you lose some, but...
And, pays off. Sometimes you put the pucks in the back of the net.
Hard
Sometimes
work.
you don't.
Coach
Just
said,
life.
work hard, and hard work makes it happen.
Yep.
DreamWorks Pictures.
Dream big.
DreamWorks makes the game work.
Final thoughts now that we've gotten out of the quiz corner about Ori and the Blind Forest before we wrap it up.
I had a great experience with it. I am upset that I had not played it sooner. I am so glad that I finally played it, and I cannot wait for the sequel.
Nick.
Pretty much going to echo that. I bought this game when it came out.
Hold on, what?
But it was one of those things, like, it's on Steam. I go, this game looks so good. And I just never played it. And I'm really happy that I did. Because I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
I'm glad you played this with us, Nick. It's great having you.
I have no other thoughts. I'm just excited for Ori and the Will of the Wisps coming in 2019.
Listen.
Hey,
listen.
Hey, listen. Michael, if you want to continue the conversation about Ori and the Blind Forest, where should you do that?
So you can go to leftbehindgame.club or leftbehindgameclub.com.
Yep.
And there's a big fat button in the middle of the website next to my face, Jacob's face, Mo's face. And if you click that button, it takes you right into the Discord where you can hang out with people like the Red Crayon over here, our friend Nick. You can hang out with most of past guests on the show, and a fantastic community of people who came and hung out and watched me play the second half of this game on Twitch. You'd find it if you search for hashtag LBGC, Left Behind Game Club. But Jacob, I think there's some good news that we have to share.
Holy smokes, do we ever have some good news.
Sure.
So the Left Behind Game Club was nominated for 3 awards in the Canadian Podcast Awards for 2019. Those are for Outstanding Games and Hobbies Podcast, Outstanding Artwork for a Podcast, thanks to our friend Dave Hool, who designed the logo for the show, and then also, which is the craziest thing, People's Choice. So if you are Canadian, and you are not a podcaster, you can vote on People's Choice. Go to leftbehindgame.club. There's a little call out that says, hey, vote for People's Choice. Click that, and it's 2 clicks, and you can vote for the Left Behind Game Club. If you are a podcaster and Canadian, you can vote on the other categories as well. So leftbehindgame.club, Canadian Podcast Awards, those are being revealed in February. Nick, thanks again for coming on the show. It was lovely to have you.
Well, thank you guys so much. This has been such a treat.
If people want to find you on the internet, where can they do so?
I'm sticking around on Discord. You can always find me there.
And what's your username on the Discord channel?
My username is The Red Crayon.
What a funny name.
We all have these funny names.
Classic 13-year-old Nick.
Mine's not better.
Mine's also terrible. Michael, where can the people find you on the internet?
People can find me at places that are not my 14-year-old online handle. You can find me at RuffoloM on most social places online, or michaelruffolo.com. Jacob, where can the people find you at online?
You can find me at Jacob McCourt on all major social media platforms, or at jacobmccourt.com.
And that, my friends, is one less game left behind.